Welcome to the CEN show, where the people's voice is valued and informative. This is your host, Rasaki Maskani. The Community Education Network.com is a platform to aid the effort of self and collective improvement. In your investigative and spare time, visit the website. We have archived podcast shows, a forum, perspective writings, an events calendar, and recommendations. I would like to present to everybody Brother Mooco. This brother is a very interesting brother. I came in contact with him about a few months ago, and I have been hearing him on the CRSC show. That's Neely Fuller's show every week that he has. And he used to come on the show and ask questions. And he talked about a care unit. And I thought that was very interesting because Neely Fuller has a term, care unit, that he uses. So with that, I said, let me contact Mr. Bobby so I can see if I can get in contact with his brother Mooco. And sure enough, I got in contact with him within one day, and the rest is history. This brother is very extraordinary and has a lot of knowledge and information to share with everyone. So, Brother Mooco, how you doing this evening?
And I'm black-tastic.
Excellent, excellent. So, Brother Mooco, would you like to add to your introduction?
Actually, man, you hit it on the nail. I mean, I can add so much more, and I can but that was perfect, man. You know, it was perfect. I would like to just get right into it because like famous rappers say, it ain't where you from, it's where you at.
Okay. Brother, so let's get started then. So definitely I need for you to talk about the care unit because I thought it was an organization that you had developed. And I guess you could say it is an organization, but I thought it was more formal than what you told me before. So for the audience, yeah, go ahead and talk about the care unit.
Well, care unit basically for people in the audience that maybe didn't catch the first show, or maybe is not familiar with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr.'s work. I believe, or I trust, just like Mr. Neely Fuller and a system of racism, white supremacy, it is impossible, according to counter-racist logic, that non-white people have what we have been taught to be called families. So we have care units, individuals or groups of individuals that care about each other. And so I have definitely observed and seen the evidence of this. And so I have connected with, I have family members in other states, or relatives, what we have been taught to be family members or blood relatives, I refer to them as. And what we have been taught as friends in all different states. And we all have what we like to call compensatory constructive discussions about countering racism, white supremacy effectively, and just sharing our suggestions and different situations that may come up in a work day or in a regular day that deals with racism, white supremacy, and how we resolved it or overcame it, or if we didn't overcome it, maybe if someone else in the care unit has ideas or a better code to deal with certain situations that may come up for us non-white people in this system of racism, white supremacy. So in doing that, in doing that, a lot of blood relatives and associates all across the globe that I've connected with are really newly realizing that they are victims of racism, white supremacy, and we developed these care units, and it's definitely not an organization, but it is a unit. And I would like to think when I think of the word unit, a little bit more organized than an organization, but organized in the sense of the individuals staying focused on the solution to the problem and not the symptom. So that's what a care unit is. You know, a care unit is just a group of people that care for each other and they discuss ways on how to counter and eliminate racism, white supremacy, and replace it with justice, whatever that may be, because we haven't seen it yet.
Yes, that's a good description. From my understanding, that's what it is. And would you consider the Community Education Network.com a part of the care unit?
Absolutely, absolutely. I always refer to you when I'm talking to my care unit members in Baltimore as my Compton care unit. So yeah, absolutely, man. As soon as we connected, you know, and had this compensatory, constructive dialogue about racism, white supremacy, and what it is and how it works, yeah, we became we became a care unit, you know, you know, I say a care, you know, care unit is just so much more a better word, and you know, words are important, so it's just a better word to me. You know, a lot of us, you know, I mean, for a lot of years, I've been saying, yeah, you know, my family, but when you're in families, a lot of families don't do the things that families are supposed to do, or at least I know what I used to consider a family. We didn't have conversations about racism, white supremacy, or sexual confusion, or you know, uh, uh, um, race mixing, you know, none of those things, you know, and that kind of left us to me as an adult now. That kind of left us handicapped to where we're playing catch up now. So, you know, when you see better or when you know better, you do better. And so that's all. It's no insult to the generation that came before us, because when you don't know, you can't do what you don't know. You know, we're in the information age right now, and more information is, you know, we have more information privy to us now than more than ever before. So, you know, when you learn better, I think it's not only our duty, but it's our obligation that when you learn better, you must do better. You know, you got to make the world better than what it was when we got here. You know, and in a lot of cases, for a lot of us, we are transcending, and the world is not better than what it was when we were born. You know, and we need to change that.
I agree. I agree. Yes, because I have conversations with my wife about our parents, And I always discuss with her that our parents did the best that they could in their given situation. And they had to go through a serious struggle that we didn't have to go through. We had a different struggle. So, I always appreciate the elders and my parents for what they've been through because, we didn't have to go through Jim Crow laws. If it was in a different way. So that's excellent. So let's move on to the next question.
Absolutely.
Basically, the topic of this show is holidays, and I wrote a perspective paper and posted on the website. And my experience with holidays is interesting, I would think, and I shared that. So I'll leave that to people to go on the website to check that out. But let's talk about holidays, Mooco. Give us your perspective on that.
Well, I cannot get past using the newly phrase, and I have to give my brother credit. So I will. I don't know if you got that copy written yet. I don't know if you got a copy written yet. When you get a copy written, brother Rashad, yeah, I will definitely, pay homage. But yeah, horror days, man. These are horror days. All these, I even hate calling them holidays, but all these days that we have been taught uh, to be holidays. Great horrors have taken place on each of these days, and I just feel like my perspective. I share the same perspective that Brother Barshango shared about holidays. And my new perspective on holidays is we should not celebrate them, but what we should do is educate during these days and times. I think the best gift that we have from the universe or the creator is the ability to learn. You know, I mean, I'm still learning. I'm sure you still learning. I'm sure Brother Rod's still learning. We all will all through our life will be learning. Even when we transcend, neither one of us have ever been through that experience, but that is a learning experience, even when we go through it. So yeah, we should learn about these holidays that we celebrate because in a lot of ways they are um, they are very dangerous. They're very dangerous. We are living in a dangerous time, and um, wow, from Independence Day to Thanksgiving to Halloween, even to Christmas, all these holidays are definitely better off investigated, not celebrated, and we should educate ourselves about these things so that we could so that we can move on to a better um, to better uses of our time and energy. You know, words are very important. So all the words that we use on these holidays and all the spells we speak out in these holidays, man, it's really dangerous. It's real dangerous, especially when the origin that they come from is um, dangerous as well.
Yeah, I know. One thing I did put in there, and Neely Fuller made a good point. He said if you take away something, you need to replace it. So I put in there, you have Kwanzaa that people replace Christmas with, and it's very, they have good principles in Kwanzaa that teaches people, different concepts and focuses on the family and things of that nature. So Yeah, I agree with you. You know, education is very important. And if people just do things blindly without really knowing why they're doing it, that's something that doesn't make sense. So like I said, I don't want to speak much about the paper. I want people to read it.
Right,
So
right. I'm gonna definitely read up on that, so we can have a really deep discussion about that. I didn't happen to read that paper
well,
yet.
it just went up yesterday. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's fairly new on the website. So yeah, so Professor Amin Ra, are you able to unmute? Okay, you're muted. Let me see something. Asking. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you. So Professor Amin Ra, this is Brother Mooco. Brother Mooco,
Mhm.
Professor Amin Ra.
How you doing,
Ba-
Professor Allen?
Habari
Heard a
Gani,
lot
Brother
about you.
Mooco. Habari Gani. Good to hear your perspective. I just need you to, I have just a couple of questions. And Asante, which is thank you for your discussions thus far. Uh, when you say holidays are dangerous and they're horrible days,
Horror days. Horror days.
Horror days.
yeah, horror days, horrible days. That's what horror means. But anyway, what do you mean? Give me an example.
Um, Example is the origins in which they came from, and when just like Brother Mascani said, when you practice things and you don't know the origin of it, that in itself makes it dangerous.
Okay.
So what I mean, so that's what I mean when I say dangerous. This uh Stevie Wonder made a song called Superstition. I'm sure y'all are y'all familiar with that song.
Yes.
And he says when you I think his line it went in a way where when you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. And that is where we are right now when we celebrate things like Christmas or Thanksgiving, um, and we don't understand what it is that we're doing or the purpose of it, and you don't understand the origin of it, well, you know where it actually came from, then yeah, that's a real dangerous position there.
Okay. Then well, see, yeah, a lot of the incentives to celebrate or recognize a holiday uh, motivate a lot of people. They don't care. You know, Christmas is not about Jesus. It's about Santa Claus. It's about gifts and commercialization. Halloween is the biggest year that they sell candy, and Easter is another one in which people used to buy clothes and dress up and go to church, and it's all commercialization and a lot of the Christian holidays, and the whole purpose. The term holiday means holy day
Mm-hmm.
because the first people that started celebrating was people religious, and Christians like to, and Jews have their holy days, Muslims have their holy days. Uh, the three major Western religions, as Dr. Ben talked about. So, the 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 issue I see is that you're ritualizing someone else's culture, and they're sucking you into it with incentives, and then they get you to commit not only to the celebration, but the narrative.
Mhm.
So even though you may not have been to church, you still think you're a Christian because you
Right.
celebrate Christmas.
Right.
Even though you have not been to the Hajj, because you fast during Ramadan, you think you're a Muslim. You know, even though you also have been Israel, who took blacks back to Israel, and Israelites, as they call themselves, the black Jews, the original Jews. Even though you go back there, sometimes you think you Jewish, you know, and so there's a lot of that, and that's where I see where you're going with this as far as not knowing the origin. And if you haven't read Dr. Ben's book, The Origin of Western Religions, and then you can see where those holy days come in. Just a little clarification on Kwanzaa, because I work very close with Kwanzaa and the creator of Kwanzaa. It's not a replacement for Christmas. In fact, Kwanzaa could care less if you celebrate Christmas or not. Kwanzaa starts on the 26th, Christmas is on the 25th. Kwanzaa has 7 days, it's about principles, it's not about celebrating, it's not sectarian, it's not a religious holiday.
Right.
And it's not a partisan holiday. It's about celebrating in Nguzo Saba, 7 days. Community, celebrating family, community, and culture. And that's what that's about. So that's a whole new different thing. Juneteenth is a whole new different game with regards to Black people out of Texas and their whole argument that they should celebrate because this white man came in on a horse and gave a proclamation, really an order to white folks to let Black people go because of the Emancipation Proclamation. And but the white folks in that part of Texas, Galveston, whatever it was, wouldn't let them go. And it wasn't until Black people let them know they were free. It was because technically we were free from birth. The white man was holding us in captivity. So you didn't have to tell me I'm free. All you had to do is let me go, you know, and quit holding me up. And so people think he came in and told Black people they were free and they didn't know that they freed them. And that's why they celebrate Juneteenth, but that's not how it goes. He was talking to white people saying, you gotta let Black people go. You know, if you ever read the order. Easter, as you say, you know, the freak day. They have about 3 books on holidays. Beautiful books. Brothers really did some deep research that reminds me of what you were saying about educate yourself and know the origin of them, because they went into the origin of them, the whole etymology of it. A brother named Dr. Khalid Muhammad, who used to be with the Nation of Islam. Well, he used to do some hard lectures on holidays, brother. I got him recorded.
He did one in Morgan. He did one in Morgan State, Ross. So you are definitely right, Professor.
He's deep. He's deep on it, brother. And me and him worked real close together when he was out here before, you know, when the issues came up. But he did a lot. So there's nothing wrong with celebrating your birthday, celebrating your children's birthday, celebrating your wife's birthday. And if you want to call it a holiday and take off work, you know, a self-imposed holiday, I take off for Malcolm's birthday, May 19th, but that happens to be my daughter's birthday too. And
I
then
do too.
I take off certain days for certain heroes within the Black experience, because I'm in a position to do it. All Black people ain't, they have to deal with what they have to deal with. But most people declare a holiday on their birthday.
Right.
They take off. Now, the only major holidays, what they call federal holiday, federal days.
Okay.
That's when the banks are closed and the post office. Then you got state holidays like Cesar Chavez in California. They let people off and they pay people. Martin Luther King birthday. You can call it a holiday. Some people can just say, hey, is this a Martin Luther King celebration day or birthday celebration? But but I was just trying to get you to, not get you, but just understand the term holiday. It comes from a holy day, recognizing from churches. Churches are for Christians, mosques are for Muslims, synagogues are for Jews, the various temples are for Buddhists and, the Hindus and all of that. So that's where I was at on it, because, we started really looking at holidays in the early 70s. Right as a continuation of the Black movement. That's when we stretched Negro History Week into Negro Black History Month. That was a declaration, and that's the same thing with Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa was not a thing in which they asked the government for recognition. They didn't even ask them for the stamp. It's in mainstream for right now, but that holiday was created for Black people by Black people during the Black cultural movement out of the 60s. It's not affiliated with no, although, the people have a lot of problems with the Panthers and the US organization conflict, but, that's just like being upset because the Crips and the Bloods fight, husbands and wife fight, we had that.
Brothers fight brothers.
The Civil Rights Organization, NAACP, was mad at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, because they kept going to jail and asking the NAACP to get them out of jail. That's when Malcolm brought that out. So, I really appreciate your analysis of the holidays, or horror days, as you call them, and I think that's correct. And the key to it is education and consciousness of that, because it's a trip, man. You can bring your kids up culturally conscious, like we didn't have no Christmas tree and no dead tree in the house, none of that, no gifts or nothing, all that. But when they get away from you, brother, they go and they get married. Their wives they got big old tree in their house. I look at them, and they say, well, we're going to still celebrate Kwanzaa, Pops. I say, okay, man. That's what you want to do, because people come up with traditions.
Right.
And man, my house, my wife, a lot of people send her gifts, so she wants to send them gifts, and her family came up that way, Now we compromise, hey, we wouldn't be married 40 years if I didn't say, hey, and so if that's what you want to do, but me, you understand? I'm committed to, being a Black nationalist, Black cultural practice. That's what I do. That's how I live. And so we don't get in each other's way. It's not an imposition.
Right.
I'm not trying to convert you, none of my children or anybody else, but all I can do is educate you. It's up to you to make the decision. That's where I see it.
Right.
That's a good
in a
observation.
piece.
Wow. Very good observation.
Mhm.
So
So,
I mean, and brother Marai, I mean, he brought up a really good point because I think that was the way it was done when um it was taught to me. You know, look, I'm gonna educate you, and from the education you get, you make a logical, sound decision from that. See, a lot of us aren't given that opportunity, and just like Brother Amara said, I mean, I have to keep backpacking off of what he said. Is absolutely correct. You know, your children get away from you, and then they start traditions with the individuals that they meet up with. You know, so I think it's all is definitely about education and making a sound decision because um, when we when you have a situation when your child and another individual become a couple, um, they might just be practicing their tradition without researching it or anything. You know, they're just practicing what's been handed down blindly. You know, but when you have a person of consciousness like a brother Amin Ra or like me for instance that come around and give you some education, then you can make a more educated um decision. You know, and that's what it's all about. It's about making a place a better place than what it was before we left. I mean before we came. And I think that's the process, that's the right process to go on doing that. You know,
Well,
replacing it with something constructive. I mean, Kwanzaa is so much more constructive than uh, what a Christmas. You know?
and we see, it's just like with Neely and Dr. Francis Cress Wilson and um, many of our Black people, regardless of what you're doing, how you doing it, you're going to catch hell, as Malcolm said. If you're in America, it's a battle line for Black people. Now, you can you can act like you ain't at war, but you definitely in a war. And so, it's unfortunate that the system has won the hearts and minds of so many of our people that they don't want to leave the white culture. I mean, like when we was fighting in the 60s, there was a cultural movement that meant you had to change. Then there was
Right.
a civil rights movement that uh, uh, that you just want to change, get the white folks from oppressing you so that you can have what they have and do what they do. You know, you didn't want to change from them. You know, you didn't want to build your own identity and represent you. You just say, hey, look, man, I just don't want you putting me in jail. I just don't want y'all killing us. But I love America, and
Right.
I just want to, do what white folks do, live next to them without them discriminating and being around them, not seeing them as historical combatants that have to be
Right.
checked forever because they don't see humans as human. Anytime you can hold people in captivity for hundreds of years, anytime you can massacre Native Americans, anytime you can drop bombs on Japanese, and anytime you can spend trillions of dollars on war material to destroy humans, and anytime you can kill the atmosphere and the environment, and then argue that it's for economic reasons, you're not really all there. People talk
Right.
about
Right.
Trump. There's a whole race of Trumps. You got
Right.
70 million votes. So that's something we as conscious people understand. Other people think, well, they just want to focus on one white man. We focus on the whole systemic thing. So that's a whole new different ball game. But they use holidays. They use
Medicine.
spices. sugars, medicine, everything they can to entice you
Absolutely.
to buy into their, to ritualize them and see them as gods and goddesses. You know,
Absolutely.
from a
Absolutely.
psychological standpoint. And you end up praising them, kissing the money. I love my grants. I love my, I mean, what are you doing?
Right. Right. Yeah, always always tell Brother Biscotti that I'm retarded in this system of racism, white supremacy. You brought up a really good point. Um, like what you just said, the psyche of us of I don't want to be lynched no more. I just want to live beside white people and do what they do. I can remember being in Thomas Jefferson Elementary School. How about that? I went to a slave owner's elementary school. But Thomas Jefferson Elementary School, I can remember sitting in the first grade and my teacher at the time, whose name was Miss Wright, but she was white. But Miss Wright, I'm sitting in her class and I could remember her saying, Martin Luther King just wanted for his dream was for black children to sit and hold hands with white children. And I just thought about that, like, why would I want to hold hands with your children if you just beat my mother and my father to death?
That's a good question.
And when I asked her that, because I did ask her that, by the way, and when I asked Miss Wright that, I don't think anyone in my class understood, because a lot of them laughed, but I don't really think they understood my question. Hell, I was only, I think, 8 at the time, maybe 7. So I don't even, I could just remember it being clear as 1 plus 1 equals 2. Like, why would he want that? And I think that's what I asked, not why would I want it. I said, why would Martin Luther King want that? And she couldn't even answer the question. The fact that the rest of my class members just laughed showed that we all suffered from the same mental impairment.
Yeah.
And that's what most of us still suffer from today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mental thing. Well, see, as one brother wrote in a book, he says, a cult is who's doing the believing. The cult is what you believe in. Culture is the ritualization of a cult. America, when they give you a birth certificate, they say you're a citizen, and you learn the Pledge of Allegiance. You learn even if you become a nationalized citizen, you have to take an oath. And once you become a citizen, if you fight against the system, they can try you for treason. You see,
right? Yeah, I heard that before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, we had the Black Yakubians and this boy named Van McCoy. I forget his name. He wrote this book, The Black Jacobian. It talks about Black people who went to court and said, listen, send me back to Africa because I'm a Black man, African in exile in this country. You know what I'm saying? I didn't come here on my own. Y'all, I'm a descendant. I'm not a citizen. So send me out. Of course, they didn't do it, but they've been Black people that argued this in court. The point is, brother, we got so many scholars. If you ask the average person, have you ever really listened to Francis Cresswell sing? Have you ever read Neely Fuller's book? Have you read Dr. Yosef Ben Yakana? Have you read John Henry Clark or John G. Jackson or Chancellor Williams? Have you read any of Maulana's books? Have you read Dr. Karanga's? Have you read Hakeem Mahadi out of Chicago and the Institute of Positive Education, Third World Press, that really published a lot of the books that Black people have. I mean, it's just so much, you know, that we need to focus on. But it's just difficult when they got the money, and when the people hire you, and pay you, you become subservient to them to get your check also. So you don't want to make waves. You can't, you can't. And until we get economic liberation under Claude Anderson and some of his projects, and cultural liberation, we will always be shackled mentally to the system of white supremacy. And that's what I loved about Frances Cress Wilson when she talked about the ball games, and when she started talking about the guns and the penis and the guns and the missiles, why the guy created the guns and all of that stuff, man. The average person don't know how to go to YouTube and pull that stuff up. And even though I'm glad they put a lot of her lectures in the ISIS books, it's unfortunate that, because we brought it to Cal State Long Beach 4 and 5 times. And when we had almost Farrakhan, we had, we had a lot of Hakeem Mahadi. We had Black nationalists coming in, Khalid Muhammad, the Ernie Smiths, and all of that, Ebonics, all of that. We had Black Consciousness Conference every year from 1979 up to 2000. Then the Negroes took it over, and now it's the unconscious conscious conference. But still, they started talking about hip hop and having talent shows, and then
dumbing it down.
Yeah, well, see, we used to have Black graduations, and when we first started Black graduations, students put it on. Then they started getting money from the university. The next thing you know, the university was putting it on. Then they got to controlling who could speak, how long you can have, putting it in the pyramid and saying, then they told the Mexicans you can have a Black graduation, and they told the Asians they can have a Asian graduation. So they made it, and which we weren't against, but they put them, they just controlled it by controlling the purse string.
Yeah, they made it for everybody. They made it for everybody. It's instead of specifically for Black people. And
yeah, go ahead.
And we see a trend of that. I'm glad you even brought that up. That's because I remember back in 2012, me and my wife, we had asked Dr. Claude Anderson to come to Baltimore to speak about reparations for Black people. And you'd be surprised I don't think you would be surprised, but it was so many people there that looked like me, that wanted to make it about everybody else. Just like what you said was going on with the Black graduations. Then they want to do, Chinese graduations. Then they want to do, all different kinds of, any time that they talk about anything specifically for Black people, it ain't right unless everybody else can get a piece. So I recognize that trend. Now this is the time that we got to break that trend. We are no longer being bashful or feeling bad for being unapologetically Black. And being unapologetically Black first. Look, I want something that's only for people that look like me, Black people, period.
Well, we got a building.
I,
We got the building. We can't.
oh, what you say, Brother Rye?
We have to build it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, everybody might not agree with Brother Moringa, but you know what? He made that holiday, and he made it up. You know what I'm saying, for us.
Read it, yeah.
And once it's made by us, and we all harness it and connect to it, nobody can take it away until we do one thing, and that's give it away. That's one thing that we haven't done with Hanukkah that I appreciate so much, because you know what? It may not be perfect, but you know what? It's ours, and we didn't let anybody take it from us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I can't even say that about, and I have a hell of a lot of respect for Farrakhan and Malcolm and definitely Khaled. I mean, that's my profile pic on all any page that I have is Khaled Muhammad. So no disrespect to them, but I can't even say that about Islam. You know what I'm saying? I can say that about Kwanzaa. You know, white people, you even got some white people. I don't see any white people celebrating Kwanzaa. And if I could keep it that way, I want to keep it that way. I want to see it that way forever. You know, that's something that's
their
for
first
us.
question. Can white folks celebrate it? And our position is, can you celebrate black people? Forget Kwanzaa, just can you celebrate black people, period? You understand? And but it then went international now, man. They're having some of the biggest Kwanzaa celebrations on the continent. In Cuba, they even had some in Vietnam when the brothers were in Vietnam. So it's spread with the organization, but I'm not a member of the organization, but I work close with them, and
okay.
I just work with all black people for liberation. You understand? I'm not part of no specific group or anything like that, but I study with all of them. Me and Farrakhan is on a first name basis, and I'm proud to have that relationship with him. A minister. I mean, I was invited to help plan the Million Man March. Was at the Dorothy Heights Center in Washington, D.C. They flew me out, me, Dr. Karenga, Tony Muhammad, all this. It was just a nice thing with Dorothy Heights. She was there before she passed. No, not Dorothy. It was it was just a number of women that was strong women that was there when we planned it. Because the second Million Man March, Farrakhan had named it the Covenant. The march, the theme was going to be the Black Covenant, and we changed it to the Million More March because we wanted to be culturally, encompassing. Well, anyway, that's a whole different argument. But there's so much. I respect brothers and sisters that are religious and spiritually deep into their religion. And, I work with churches, I work with mosques and Muslims, I just can't go there personally as far as in some of their perspectives of life and death,
Right.
And then again, a lot of them see you as converts, consumer, or utilitarians. If they can convert you, they want you. If they can't convert you, they want to sell you something. And if they can't sell you something, they want to use you, and because it's their way or no way. That's why many of them can't be in a Black United Front, because it's their way or no way,
Well, I know you remember what Dr. Ben always used to say. He say religion ain't selling you anything but believe.
Yeah.
You want Dr. Ben, he always say, they just want you to believe. They don't want you to trust. They don't want you to know, but they want you to believe.
We had him out here a lot.
Yeah.
so so yeah, being taught that at that young age, I have to agree with you, brother. I don't even I think with religion I just really try to stay as far away from it unless it's some constructive action going on. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah,
And
right.
that's all it would. Yeah, that's all it boils down to. Just like you said, I don't think we have seen the evidence of organizations and groups. We already seen the evidence of that not working, so we shouldn't keep repeating that thing. And that's what just to go back in a full circle, that's what the care unit is about. It's about not being a organization that some other organization or a person can break up if one head is gone. We are a care unit, and a care unit has many heads, and it's a code. We all operate on that same code of being constructive and countering racism, white supremacy, and replacing it with justice. If we just keep it simple like that, we can make that our holiday. Every holiday, you can replace it with every holiday because you're educating yourself. And going that way. I'm not saying that every problem can be that every problem will be solved, but every problem can be solved by using that process.
Okay, so let's bring in the doctor. Doctor, did you have any questions so far?
Oh yeah, Doc, I forgot you was even on the line.
No, man, I'm getting educated, man. I mean, this is very interesting, man. I never heard anyone talk about the holidays, man, and how Professor Ra explained it, and Brother Mooco. I never heard this before, man. So hey, keep talking.
Okay, we got another brother that just came in, Brother Lucinda. Can you unmute your mic? So we're gonna let Brother Lucinda chime in after we deal with this last question. So the last question is dealing with the definition of racism, because a lot of people call other races, like if you're Hispanic or if you're Asian, a lot of people will say, well, that person is a racist. And I think they're confused about what a racist is or what is racism. So brother Mooco, touch on the definition of racism as you know it.
Well, as I have the evidence has shown me that racism, the meaning of it is it's a global system that is operated by a group of people who classify themselves as white, and they are dedicated to mistreating and killing people that they classify as non-white. Racism and white supremacy are synonyms, and we should never get it confused with prejudice or ever be confused of the three things that qualifies a person to be or practice racism, white supremacy. Okay, there's only three qualifications of this, and one that we tend to forget as Black people is you have to be 100%. You have to be white. You have to be classified by the people who classify themselves as white. So if you look like me, this brown finger right here, You cannot be racist. You cannot practice it. The best you can do is collaborate with the ones that are. Now, words are very important. Um, part of getting on code is not brother Amin Ra mimicking brother Mooco or vice versa. What it is we all having the best meaning for racism, white supremacy that is a complete meaning and that is complete and doesn't cause confusion. Okay? It is, the evidence shows that this system of white supremacy is a global system and it is controlled by people who classify themselves as white. The evidence shows that. This is not Brother Mooco saying this. Okay? The evidence shows this. I'm just regurgitating what the evidence shows. Okay? So we can know what we need to do as Black people getting on code, especially about racism, white supremacy, is first of all, we need to call it the right thing and we need to know what it is, how it works in every area of people activity. And when I say every area of people activity, some people might not even know what that means. We need to clarify that up. You know what I'm saying? Every area of people activity. We're doing an area of people activity right now. This is politics. Right here. That's one area of people activity. Politics. What are we, us five brothers, doing on this phone right now? We are communicating. We are interacting with each other. That's what politicking is. You know, even take it back to the streets. Oh, I'll politic with you later. Politic means talk. I'll talk with you later. But we made it into a whole nother different thing. Oh, politics is politics. I don't talk politics and religion. Well, when you're talking to somebody, that's politics right there. So with the words that we use, bringing it back, you know, full circle, racism, white supremacy, first of all, is synonyms. This is something that we need to learn. When I first heard this from Neely Fuller and Francis Cress Welsing, even I don't even think I haven't heard it from Henry Clark. No, I even heard this from Dr. Clark one time. We have to be very, 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 very cognizant of the words that we use. Because when words end up being meaningless, then we are really in big trouble. And that is what we're seeing today. That's why you can go outside your door and you can witness someone that looks like you calling another individual, hey, dummy. That's what they calling people over here right now. I don't know if you know that, Brother Amara. You know, the young kids around here now, they call each other dummies. So it's like, hey, dummy. You know, I was in the store one day and I heard, I had my 18-year-old son with me. And one of his friends came up to him and said, hey, what's up, dummy? And I looked at him, I said, hey, who you calling a dummy? You know, but this is the evidence of words not meaning anything anymore. You know what I'm saying? The apple is an orange right now. Right now, you could call a watermelon a car. You know, and everybody will go along with it. So, yeah, racism, white supremacy. We need to be clear on that. We definitely need to stop calling racism, white supremacy prejudice. And we definitely need to stop telling other Black people or other non-white people that they are racist. Because that's just not logically, it's not even humanly possible. Because they're not white. This is an exclusive club thing. You know, you can only be white to practice racism, white supremacy. Now, you can be Black and think that you're practicing it, but the best that you're doing is collaborating. That's the best that you're doing, because when you go around a group of white people, they won't accept you. As they'll let you know real quick that you're not white. They'll let you know quicker than a heartbeat.
Okay, well, I know Ra, we when we had your first interview, you kind of touched on racism, white supremacy. So you want to add to that, Professor Amaral?
Gabriel, you know, there are many definitions by some of our great social scientists, and like the good brother just mentioned, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, Neely Fuller, John Henry Clark, and there are various definitions. Then there are ones that you use social science principles to, from a global dynamic. The United Nations, under the human rights, it'll come to me in a minute. Under their human rights declaration in 1940-49. But anyway, they looked at racism in three systems of government. Apartheid in South Africa, meaning races live apart. It was a system of government that you could apply to get a different race at the end of the year. If you were mixed, if you felt that you can move from black to colored, because black was, you got red, then there was colored. They had 4 or 5 classifications that you can move up to. And as the good brother said, you could never, if you had any blackness in you, you could never go up to white, you know, because that's the supremacy thing. But you could go from black to colored. And then you can go from colored to Asian if you was mixed like Kamala Harris. You see what I'm saying? And they had apartheid systems that allowed you to apply to change your race to get some of the oppression off of you. But the ones that suffered the most were the blacks in the South Africa. The United Nations for years classified apartheid as a racist system. The next one was Zionism. It has nothing to do with Judaism. It was that you only could be in the government if you were a European Jew, Orthodox European Jew. Zionism is practiced. The United Nations up to 1989 classified Zionism as a racist system. But in the negotiations with Yasser Arafat and them, with the Jews, I don't know if it was Yasser Arafat, not Yasser Arafat, but with anyway.
No, you was right. You were right. You were right. It was Arafat. You right.
Well, Yasser was against it, but what they was doing was saying that if the United Nations declassified Zionism as non-racist, not racist, they would participate in peace talk with the Palestinians. And that was that meeting at Camp David. I can't remember all the people. So they took Zionism off the racist thing because the Jews pushed it. And to try to facilitate peace, America worked with them to take it off the United Nations definition of a racist government, Israel. The next one is Euro-American racism. In Europe, Spain, all over Europe. Europe was not a continent. They wanted to make Europe a continent. Europe is really North Asia. A continent is supposed to be a large landmass surrounded by water. Europe is not surrounded by water. It's just right above Africa. So in the Euro-American racism, and see, you had, when the Europeans came over here and slaughtered the Native Americans and enslaved us, they were colonies. And in Lerone Bennett's book, he explained how some of the Europeans were slaves, but they called them indentured servants. They wouldn't use the word slave, but they were slaves for 7 years, but they got their freedom. And some Black people that they brought from Europe were indentured and could get their freedom too in his book, Blacks in the Promised Land. And then they changed the laws, the colony, Virginia, them changed the law to shackle slavery and Holocaust of enslavement. And because they couldn't enslave the Native American, so they enslaved us, and that's how shackle slavery started forever. The whole purpose of slavery was forever. In order to justify the enslavement of other human beings, they had to demonize us as pre-Adamites. In other words, property. And
Let
those
me
slaves
ask you, brother Ra,
Huh?
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Was right before that, was that when the and I'm just asking because I'm a little unclear on it. Was that after they put the miscegenation laws in place, you know, making it illegal for the what they used to call themselves before they came here, the Europeans, like the white people, they didn't call themselves white before this start, before they put these laws in place. Was that before this happened, like in the early 1700s, late 1600s?
Yeah, but see, you got to remember it's 1614,
Okay.
1619, when the first so-called uh, the good ship Jesus brought the first Blacks with Antonio and Isabella, who had the first Black child in the Holocaust of enslavement in Virginia. And the first white baby born, according to Lerone Bennett, was Virginia Dare. And,
Okay.
okay, but the miscegenation, they didn't even have laws. The miscegenation laws and mixing laws and segregation laws started after the United States.
Okay. Okay.
That was after the Holocaust of enslavement. That's when they started segregation and Black codes. Before then, we weren't even subject to law. We just property.
Okay.
And they can do whatever they want. They can kill us when we got old and couldn't work. They could rape you. They can do whatever they want to do because you were not seen as a human being. They devalued you as a human being. You know, and it's a deep psychological thing. But getting back to racism, that whole definition,
right,
it's a system of government, culture, and tradition and practice that affects your life. We don't care if white people don't like us, but don't kill me because you don't like me, and don't affect my life-giving and life-saving needs and services because of my race. And that's what they did. Like we used to say, when they shoot a Black person, that's murder. Racism is when they get away from it, or get away with it. They don't put a premium on our lives. There's a lot of books on how people could kill Black people, and there was no murder,
no impunity,
no penalty.
Right.
Because they saw us as like killing one of their cows or killing one of their sheep. See what happened? Then once as Black people struggled, that's how they started the first police. Because the first, see, like, you follow me on this, and then I'll be quiet. When we talk about reparations, you have to deal with reparations not only from the United States of America, but you have to deal with it from those colonial period too, because it was 100 years of Spain, France, Portugal, the Jews, all of them participated in the Holocaust of enslavement before 1776.
Yep.
You see, then after 1776, in the Declaration of Independence, they had in the statement of the Declaration of Independence, they used to justify them fighting for their freedom, they talked about how the colonial powers that they were fighting against, Europe, the British, had enslaved us. But they took that clause out.
Mm.
And the book that had the clause, they had the whole Declaration of Independence. And in that Declaration of Independence, they used how the king had abused the people and misused and enslaved the people as an example of them being a bad governmental prop, of one of the things that justified them wanting their independence.
Right.
But after they got their independence, they continued slavery for economic and racial empowerment and to make white people think that they were better, than feel even a poor white felt better than, well, at least I'm not a slave. At least I'm not black, So, I mean, so like I was saying, it's like you shoot a black person and then the court let them go. So now they created police to do the killing. At one time, white folks just hung lynchers. You saw the pictures, lynching on the trees, man burned, they eating popcorn, watching it. These were individual white people that just did this.
Right, or eating the individual that was being burnt. Yeah, you right.
Yeah. They were doing all of that. And then as we fought and struggled against it, so they said, okay, we just do two things. We create the prison system where slavery is still alive.
Right.
And that's why you have mass black people and people of color in prison, because they get free labor. In that book, 13, they talked about how they sell labor, foreign prison, have them out fighting fires, doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's what Kamala was doing, right? Had them out there fighting fires and dying over there in Cali.
Yeah, and then they created the police to do their killing for them. So they use it under the camouflage and color of law. And that's what you saw with the Floyd killing and Michael Brown killing, and the Gardner killing in New York, and all the Baltimore killings, and all of those things. And you see, they use the color of law and the whole jurisprudence system, and it's still the same thing. It's just what they call it legalized, justifiable homicide, which ain't no such thing.
Right.
Police are feared for their lives, so they can kill you. But the whole thing is that the whole unemployment, we was fully employed as long as it was free labor. Now all of a sudden we want union wage, we unemployed. So you have to look at the racism, as Frances Cress Welsing. She talked about 6 or 8 areas of racism as a global dynamic, and she's correct. It permeates every part of your life: religion, economics, politics, education. Everything is based upon race, and it favors white people, even if they dumb.
Right.
Like
That's the most important part too. I'm glad you brought that up, Brother Armin. You're right. Even if they dumb.
Yeah, like Dr. Ben said, the first person that got their degree got it from someone that didn't have it. And all these awards that they give to each other every year, the greatest singer, American Award, Academy Awards, and all of that. They just congratulate themselves. It's all mental masturbation. World Series playing Oakland against San Francisco, and they call it a World Series. They ain't playing the world; they just playing each other. And then, and I mean, it's just so much into the history of every institution, sports, everything. But it's hard to get our people to see that because of the love they have when he put that white Jesus up there. and use black ministers in the churches historically, man, your grandmother will kill you. You try to take that picture down, great-great-grandmother, or that white is down in her house next to Martin Luther King or Kennedy. Well, anyway, those are the things, man. I didn't mean to go off that long, but anyway.
No, you good, brother Ron, because you was hitting it right on the nail, boy. You know, I think my grandmother, man, God rest her soul. I think she had a picture of that same white Jesus right next to Martin Luther King, like you said. Oh man, you hit it right on the nose, brother.
You find it everywhere, brother. It's some of the most. If you go into Sacramento, you see our politicians with the same pictures.
Wow.
In their office.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a sad code, but that is a code. Wow. That was on point.
So racism
but,
is,
and I concur with a lot of what you said, with almost everything you said.
Yeah, racism is when it affects your life, and in your life-giving, life-saving goods, services, and administration of justice and social needs. When they're predicated on that, that's when you have a problem. I don't have no problem. I don't like white women. I don't like white men. I don't like white people. Except for give me my check, I'm gone. You know, we don't social. I ain't going watching no games with you. I ain't, I'm not, we ain't equal.
Right.
So, but there are certain people. Well, I had to learn this, brother, and it was a hell of a lesson. I learned it from the African American Culture Center with Dr. Karanga there. I thought being black was just not liking white people. But it's also loving your people.
Right.
Respecting your people, your history, your culture. And you have to have principles and ethics and value system and a philosophy.
Right.
Like I always ask people, what did you do black today? What philosophy that's black that you live by?
Right.
Do you quote Frederick Douglass? Do you quote Harry Tubman? Do you quote Farrakhan? Do you quote Malcolm? Do you believe in Garvey's race first philosophy? Du Bois' talented 10? Do you believe, what is your philosophy? You understand, that you draw from to give you your consciousness.
Right.
And you'd be surprised at the people that don't have one, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's just like all the way around the board. But I think that is a result of again, us not passing down the history, us not passing down not even the history, but the information. Elders like you, Ra, even me, I'm a little younger than you, but even in my generation, in my children's generation, we have to keep our elders valuable. You know what I'm saying? You guys are valuable to me because, and to my generation. I was saying this. I was talking to this young brother that I had working with me, and I was trying to get him to understand the importance of family. I mean, or not family. There we go with that word again. But historical information. It's dealing with his own relative. I was like, do you know that a lot of us don't understand that knowing your bloodline is imperative to a power that we don't even understand. You know, it's the power of confidence. You know, if I know that I am the son of this guy, and this guy was the son of this guy, and his mother was her name. You know, we know our family history. We could go back 3-4 sets of grandparents on either side. Man, that would create the confidence that we need, you know, to to be better than the best, you know. But a lot of us out here are void of a lot of things because I mean we are retarded in the system and we never got repaired.
Yeah.
We never got repaired. Reparations is not just about a check, but it's more about repairing what has been damaged, and our bloodlines have been damaged more than any one of us could ever believe, and the knowledge that went along with it. You know what I'm saying? The information that is just so detrimental, and it's such an intricate part to us being on code and focusing on getting back what we lost. You know, I don't even know if we can get back what we lost because
Well,
you
that's
never
what
can get time back.
I once heard
Hello?
Ivan Van Sertima say, "We have forgotten more than we can ever learn."
Mm.
The thing about going back through your family tree and doing that DNA search, a lot of black people go back just to see if any white people in their blood, so they can say I'm Irish and I'm Indian and all that. But if you're going back there to see your consciousness and trace your roots, like you're talking about, and the migration to where you are today, that's educational and that's conscious living, because you know that no matter how mixed you were when you were in the Holocaust of enslavement, they did not trace your identity through the male, through the patriarchal system. It was mama's baby, because if they did it through the male, once that white man gave the black woman a baby, that black man became free. But Fred Douglass had to fight for his freedom, even though his daddy was white. You know, I mean, those are the things. I mean, it's just that they've changed things around so much to go with white supremacy and segregation laws and things of this nature and racial color consciousness. And I'm just grateful for Francis Neely and the work that they've done in racism. And I recommend to everybody to get their books and get their material, because they lay it out so deep, the psychological and cultural affects racism. I remember when Francis wrote the book, The Psychological Effects of a White Jesus on Black Children. She had an article on that. Man, it was deep, brother. It should be in the ISIS papers. She did it for Black Books Bulletin. That's back in the day with Hakeem out of Chicago, Third World Press. But hey, man.
I would love to get a copy of that.
Yeah. Well, I try to, if I find it, I'll give it to the brother. He can send it to you or post it on his website.
Right.
I got a lot of articles he can post on his website.
Yeah,
because Black Books Bulletin stopped.
Okay. So,
okay.
So we have Brother Mashinda said he wanted to make a comment. So, Brother Mashinda, Brother Mashinda's here. Unmute yourself, please, brother.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Banigani.
Good evening, brother.
Yeah, Baragani to you. Listen, I just wanted to, more than a comment, I just want to thank you, brothers, for, again, Brother Rasa Key, for this platform. And I'm listening, I kind of got in late, apologies for that. I've been tying up a few loose ends and time got away, but I wanted to catch the last end of it. But, of course, what I heard was very relevant to me, and I think I would deem it as valuable information. You were talking about white supremacy, racism, and one thing I've experienced, and I heard Brother Mooco saying that, prerequisite in order to create that structure, it's white folks involved in creating a structure to remain supreme of the globe. And, I'm in agreement with that. One thing I've experienced in my life in terms of employment, going to school, I noticed that part of that structure, and I don't think that structure can be alive without its gatekeepers. They tend to find a lot of brothers and sisters to become gatekeepers of their system. It's kind of like a role. If you look like at a basketball game where, everybody has their role. So we have our role in that system where, in other words, we may speak the language, we may understand the culture to another level, or to be able to, outreach, to our own communities, and at the end of the day, hold them back, keep them down, keep our foots on their necks, which is unfortunate, and so things up, in my walk of life, working in education and criminal justice, those are the things that I've experienced, where we play a major role in white supremacy racism as a gatekeeper. And it's unfortunate, again, that, some brothers and sisters have assumed that role without them even realizing that they're in that role. That's the cold-blooded thing about it. You can argue with them till you're blue in the face. It don't matter. They're not trying to hear that, kind of like I think I heard Dr. Ross saying, you better not take that photo down off, that's over on grandma's mantle, because of the fact that, they have been indoctrinated hook, line, and sinker, that they're all in. And so those are some of the struggles that I had as a younger person coming up, brought up in civil rights at 5 and 6 years old. Belonged to the NAACP, I think when I was about 6 or 7. My dad, back in the day when that organization had maybe a little merit, in terms of some of trying to move forward. But again, not trying to judge and go down that road. But the point of it is that being, in the realm of understanding, seeing what's in front of me in terms of, these gatekeepers that no matter what, at all costs, that, you can't pass go. You can't, their job is to keep you from that understanding, or trying to skew your understanding in different principles. That mantle, that picture that's on that mantle, you better not argue about that picture. And we chose not to in a lot of cases, because of the fact that you're basically beating your head against the wall. So in other words, finding other strategies to go around that, and to still try to be in the struggle and try to overcome, regardless, trying to get that individual to see the light, which has been a task in itself. But anyway, I just wanted to give share my thoughts, and appreciate what I've been hearing. Dr. Rai was talking about the African Cultural Center. I've actually used to go. I went several times back in the day. I believe it was off of Slauson or somewhere in the 50s or somewhere, but I went, because at some point I became conscious on another level, to where I was striving and wanted to learn, next level information. And of course, being affiliated, being informed about, Neely Fuller, back in the late 80s, Dr. Welsing, those, going to ASCAC conferences, listening to Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben Yuckanen, those guys that, putting it down on a global perspective. Not saying that we have to agree with everything that everybody say, but at the end of the day, there's a commonality of truth and perspective. And I challenge everybody. Of course, the conscious ones on this call, I believe, already know. But just because I'm saying it, or Brother Mooco, he's saying it, or Dr. Ra saying it, we have to triangulate. We have to. You hear the truth, you hear it, and then you have to further your research. So that's what I challenge these young brothers and sisters that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. Don't just listen to me. You hear me, I'm giving you, I'm the point guard, I'm passing you the ball. Then you take that and you try to, enrich that understanding, refute it if you can. That's the goal. It's all about, trying to have the greatest of understanding, But I just want to say that I appreciate all you guys that's on the call. And, I look forward to many more talks. And I see good things happening, Brother Rasaki. Good job. Y'all have a good night.
Thank
Can I respond?
You too, brother.
Agenda?
you.
Yes, sir.
All people under oppression have collaborators. They never would have got a lot of the Native Americans had collaborators. Jews helped Hitler kill Jews. Mexicans, go join the army and fight for America, and while they got their kids right now in cages. Collaboration and oppression does that to people. Oppression is a powerful instrument and tool, brother, that psychologically affect our parents. They didn't know better. It's just like our parents that smoked cigarettes. They didn't know it give them cancer until recently when they start making them put it on the cigarette package that could be hazardous to your health. But they just saw white folks doing it on TV and they started smoking, drinking and doing other things. So oppression does that. And I'm glad, and I appreciate everything you said, brother, because you're so right about, and just before you came on, that's what Brother Mooco was talking about when he was saying that education, and you're saying the same thing. You're telling people, hey man, I give you this thought, but you go research it. You go in the library or you go run it off of some other person that you trust and see if I'm accurate or not. So education is the key. And I'm just glad you're there working with them young people and steering them so that they can come to reality on their own and wasn't brought into it like, get happy in church and go get baptized. It's something that they have to think about before you do it and research the whole history of baptism and where it started and who started it and why all those things happened. So it's a beautiful thing, brother. And we appreciate your comments. At least I did. Asante for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's always good that we have other people on here that can chime in and say something. I'm gonna give Brother Doctor, you have any question or comment before we end? I guess he's still just.
No, just taking it all in, man. Sounds good. Sounds good, man. Like I said, man, it's one of the first things there, man. I heard someone talking about this stuff. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, man, and I never really heard anyone talk about this kind of discussion. And like I told you, I take notes, and I took the notes from one word that Professor Armin Ross said: incentives, man. That's one of the key things, man. And breaking the code is offering people incentives, man. You offer incentives, you coon. You break that code. And before we went on, one thing brother Mooco said, if you don't teach the younger generation, man, they're gonna start a new code. I took that note down, man, and it's very powerful, man. Very powerful. That incentives, man. I was always calling it choices. Brother Rasaki, we talk about choices. And I'm looking at, man, it's the same as incentives, man, because like, my background, Brother Rasaki.
Yeah.
And kind of similar to the brother just got on there, that gatekeeper thing, man. I was there, and I was a gatekeeper 30 years, man. And it hurt me so bad, man, where me, Rasaki, it traumatized me so bad doing that for 30 years, where I can't really go outside. I really don't associate with people. I'm always thinking tactically. I'm always have a high awareness of situation awareness. And there's always one quote in this movie that I always tell people, man, being that gatekeeper, you guys have the privilege of not knowing what I know. I've seen some bad stuff, man. I've seen some bad stuff.
Right.
One day you may have a talk about it, man, where I can come up with, man, like the brother said, man, a gatekeeper, and you see things going on, and you're sitting there watching it, and you can't believe it, man. The shit that's going on. I'm sitting here, had to sit here and watch that. And like your brother said, once you speak up, you're gone. I spoke up, and hey, I was out. But yeah, man, it was good conversation tonight, man. It bring back some memories with me, and pretty good, man. Pretty
Tell
good.
us what field you was in, so we can understand a little bit what you're saying. I know we're gonna have a future show with you, so just tell us what you was involved in.
Oh man, well, hey, man, I was with Department of Corrections, man. I did it all. I was in the prison. I worked out in the field, a parole officer. I was on special teams. I went on hour searches, did all kind of crazy stuff, man. Been in briefings, man. The stuff they talk about, man, you guys just don't know. You just don't know, man, how they think, man. I know. And like I said, man, I go out, man. Every time I step out the door, man, I'm thinking tactically, situational awareness.
Right.
They know how dangerous these people are, man. You guys just don't know, man. Only thing I think I have now is Twitter, because Twitter, man, gets out so much information. That Facebook crap, and like I told you, Rise the Key, I was hesitant even getting on the Zoom, man, because they collect so much technology.
Right.
I've seen how they done cell phones, man, and I'm literally taking my cell phones with me, man.
Wow.
Man, I mean, we caught guys, man, by cell phones, man. When they showed me technology, how they were catching guys with just the cell phones, it was amazing, man. Amazing stuff, the things they can do, and you guys don't know how they do it, man. And I'm sitting here looking at stuff, it just amazes me, man. Because somebody talked about earlier technology. I think it was you, Brother Mooco. You talked about the technology.
Yeah.
Man, you guys just don't know. You think Facebook and Zoom is something, man. They got stuff out there, man. They're watching, man. I've seen it. I personally seen it.
Right.
Like I said, they got to the point, man, I hate associating with people. I hate going to stores. I hate being around people. Because every time I go somewhere as a group of people, the first thing I look at exits, who I can take down, who I can go through.
Right.
Something happens,
Right.
it disturbs me when I'm out shopping, because the only thing I think about is survival.
Right.
You always got to know, man, no one's going to come and save you, especially if you're black.
That's right. We ain't got
No
no
one's going
friends.
to save you, man. You always got to think tactically, man, when you're out there. They're shooting these brothers down, going around. Like, I don't know who this whack 100 or 1,000 guy was, but I just saw the video yesterday with the two skinheads trying to attack him. And
Right.
that brother had some skills.
Yeah, he did.
And they tried to turn it on when the cops came. We're, this is in Florida, so they got a right to,
Stand your ground.
that little cold term they got, but he lucky, like he said, lucky they had it on tape. But you guys just don't know, man. You know, like Tiger Rossi Key, I'm getting so tired of listening to a lot of people on YouTube, man. You guys just don't know, man. That's why I was asking you earlier, man. You know, what do you think, man? You know, on this cold stuff, man. You know, how long is it going to take, man? We talking about, we talked about the 400 years just being like yesterday. And actually, that's why you think it was a short time. That's why
Right.
we're cold, because it's just short of a time for us to get together. If we're gonna do something soon, man, it's over. Because you guys talking earlier about going to other countries. Because I'm looking at getting a second passport, and I'm watching now, man, where they're gonna make it where you got to get this test to fly.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to leave this country.
Right.
And I know Amaral was talking about your citizenship. I just found out because, like I said, I'm looking at second passports. I didn't know, man, that when you want to give up your citizenship, you got to pay the United States to give up your citizenship. I didn't know that. I just found that out about a month ago. You got to pay an exit fee, and that's crazy.
Right.
I have to pay to not want to be here anymore.
Right.
You can't pay. You can't give up your citizenship. And if you're as a black man, worth too much money, they won't let you go. They're gonna always you can leave the country, but you're always gonna pay federal taxes.
Right.
They're always gonna keep you in that group of federal taxes. A lot of people don't know that with some stuff I found out. But you guys got to think tactically, man. And you going back to holidays. You guys are talking about that. Man, holidays and the days off. That's the only day black people can get together and talk tactically without, looking suspicious. Because you get brothers together on a Wednesday, they were like, hey, they were monitoring that. But on the holiday, Christmas, we can all get together and talk tactically, just like the slaves did. They got together on Sundays and talk tactically. But you get a bunch of gay slaves together on a Wednesday, those masters are like, hey, we're grouping. Because where I worked at, man, when they saw blacks getting together, more than the two, the white supervisors would come by, hey, man, if I had a hand grenade, I can throw a hand grenade here and blow all you guys up. They was watching when more than two blacks got together and started talking. They would come over, hey, what you guys talking about? And never did when whites got together in a group, And like I told Rossi Key, man, 30 years in, all of a sudden I'm doing everything wrong. They were coming after me. I knew it. 30 years in,
right.
Now all of a sudden I'm doing everything wrong.
Right.
But yeah, man. Good talk, man. Good talk tonight, man. I like the holidays. Like I said, holidays, man, that's the day we can only get together and talk the tactical tasks, man. All other days we can't get together because it'd be suspicious and break it up. So
right.
I got to give it for the holidays, man.
Well, I'm definitely want to be.
Nobody, that's the only day we can get together and won't draw suspicion.
Right. I definitely want to be part of that talk about when you had a show with the doc on there, though, bro, because you are in a serious field, and I know you've seen a hell of a lot of stuff. Oh man,
yeah,
I can't wait to pick your brain.
I can tell you which agencies out there, man. I work with so many agencies, and I don't really want to talk about it now. It brings back, I just can't talk about it, man. But
we definitely, I definitely want to be part of that.
My personal thing, man, we should all be trying to get a second passport, man.
Right.
Just in case we have to flee.
Right.
Like I was telling people, man, you want to move Washington, California, Texas, somewhere where you can flee to another country.
Right.
Somewhere you can get there, within a couple of hours. Get up out of this country, just in case, man. Just in case. But second passport. That's why I said reparation. I don't need no money. Give me a second passport. Don't mean I'm gonna leave the country, but give me a second passport, and I'll be happy.
Well, look, man, we've been doing this for a while, man. I just appreciate everybody's contribution. And I guess we're going to sign off. Next week, we'll have a school administrator and teacher, Dr. B.
Okay.
He's gonna be the next guest. Again, everybody's welcome. We're gonna talk about education. That's gonna be the topic. And I just.
Oh man, I would definitely be tuned.
So that's next Wednesday. Dr. B. And like the motto says, each one teach one. Just gonna keep doing it until we can't do it. And hopefully
Absolutely.
passes on to the offspring.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I appreciate
Wow.
everybody.
I definitely appreciate everybody. Thank you, Brother Ra, Rashidi, Doctor, and Masinda. Definitely. Thank y'all for your time.
All right,
I can't wait to do this again. We can do this anytime.
Okay. All right, brothers. Take care.
All right.
All right. Take care.
All right. Peace.
Okay.